Hey yo, we need to talk about this new Predator movie, man. Now, before I get started, if you're new here, my name is Terrell. This channel's Mind of the Escapist. I discuss music, films, video games, etc. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. But anyway, Predator. Before we get started on this new movie, Prey, let me just give you a quick overview of how I feel about the Predator movies. It's one of them franchises that I grew up with from a very young age. I can't remember which film I saw first, whether it was the first Predator film or the second Predator film. I have more vivid memories of the second one because that was one of them real ultra-violent movies that I watched at a young age, and it stuck with me, and it's got Jamaicans in it, so I always remembered it. Predator 2 is the one that I remember the most from my childhood. But surprisingly, and this may surprise you, I like all the Predator films. So the first one, of course, is a classic. The second one I just have that nostalgic connection to because I was very young when I watched it. The third one, Predators, I thought had a great concept, and I think the film executed it really well. It has a few flaws, but still good and an entertaining watch. And then the most recent one prior to this one, from 2018, that film's so bad that is highly entertaining to me, so I can even tolerate that one. So I actually enjoy all the Predator movies. I remember seeing the trailer for this one. I don't really watch much trailers anymore, but I saw the trailer for Prey. And I remember being intrigued actually when they first announced what this film was going to be. And I saw the trailer, and I remember watching the trailer and thinking, that looks a lot better than it has any right to be. And I kind of left it at that. And I've been looking forward to the film, especially this past week in the lead up to it. And I watched it earlier. And man, what an impressive film. Like, what a really impressive film. Like, I was really taken aback by how great this film was, and I'm very happy that it's as good as it is. Caught me by surprise, and I've actually seen the film 1.5 times so far. So it came out today. I watched it earlier, and then someone else in my house was watching it just about an hour ago, and I came downstairs. It was halfway through the film, and I sat down and watched the second half again. And yeah, this film's really impressive. I really like it. It goes straight back to basics, and I think this works in the film's favor so well, is it just goes back to basics. We're in like a jungle setting, and it's all about the hunt. You know, don't need the city, don't need all that extra stuff, don't even need that many, you know, characters that are a focal point of the story. It's just, you know, all about the hunt. I think that works in this film's favor a lot. It's very simplistic in that way. The story is very simplistic, but also the level of character development that's given to the characters within this main part of the story is all kept at a very minimum level, which I guess some people might desire more from that. Me personally, I think they did the bare minimum with that to a satisfying enough degree to allow them to get to what we want to see, which is the Predator hunting people. I think conceptually it's really strong. I feel like this is the type of primeval narrative that the franchise has always been destined to reach. This concept of, you know, hundreds of years, centuries back, you know, what were those predators doing against, you know, humans from centuries back? And I think it's a much more compelling kind of dynamic to see that kind of come to fruition, where we had humans back when we were like pure hunters, and knew how to survive in the wilderness and hunt animals, versus a predator who's coming down for sport for that purpose. Little details they sprinkled into this film that I appreciate as well is seeing things like a more primitive predator using more primitive technology, and it's the same weaponry that we're used to from the predators we've seen before, but just the older version. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, some of the weapons you see kind of almost like precursor versions of the weapons we know from the Predator films we've already seen, and I thought that was a nice touch. I didn't really know how this film was going to go. I knew the basis of the setup, and when the film does begin, you kind of get an introduction to a few characters, and I'm like, okay, so here's, you know, we've got a handful of characters here, so, you know, the body count's going to be relatively okay. I guess these people are here to get killed off, essentially. But the film does something really unexpected, or that I didn't expect at all, around the halfway point. I won't say what it is, but when that happened, I thought, okay, this predator is about to start catching some bodies. And my god, does he start catching some bodies. Like, the body count in this film, I want to say it's over 20. That could be an exaggeration, but if it's not over 20, it's very close. Like, there's a lot of death in this film, and it's not just from the predator either. Actually, there's some human on human you know, stuff going on in this film, which is a real interesting dynamic. But the direction of the film overall, I thought was really slick, like really slick. It's one of those films where every kind of shot and every kind of action set piece is very dynamic. They're all handled in a very varied way, so that every single action set piece feels different in its own unique way. There's a few different long take, one take shots, but even those ones are filmed in slightly different ways to make it feel fresh. But it's a really kinetic film. Like when you get into the action, you're really within it. And I thought the director did a fantastic job with that side of the film. I thought how they handled the Predator in the film was really impressive as well, and really satisfying. Like they did the whole, you know, typical kind of slow build-up thing where you know the Predator's there, you see little glimpses of it here and there. I like how they had the Predator start hunting animals, just normal animals first, and you get to see him kind of contest and hunt against them before moving on to the humans. There's a scene with a bear in this film which might be the best bear scene since The Revenant. I thought it was a riveting sequence, had great build up to it, and had a great payoff towards the end. Some of the ways they reveal the Predator I really liked. So there's one scene in particular where the Predator slaughters an animal and the blood gushes all over him whilst he's cloaked, and of course you've got the kind of silhouette of the cloak, but then you've got the blood all on top of it to create more of a kind of image of the Predator. And I thought that was a really intimidating but really cool and refreshing way. They've probably done it before in one of the older films and I can't remember, but it was a really refreshing way to showcase the Predator in a cloaked form. One of the most impressive things about this film for me is just the sheer brutality of it. I thought it was going to be violent, but the way the violence is handled is that type of violence that just makes you almost want to applaud it when it happens. There's a couple times in the film, a couple kills, I had to kind of instantly rewind just to see it again. Sometimes because I couldn't grasp what really happened in that exact moment. Other times it's because the kill was so slick. I was like, oh, no, I need to instant replay that and see that again. This Predator was ruthless and it was so entertaining to see. And just like I said, the overall concept of having a primitive predator coming up against Native Americans, you know, it's just a genius concept in the 1700s, and they knocked out the park for what the concept of this film was. They nailed it completely, and it made me think, like, for the Predator franchise, like the Predator franchise always ends up going back to, for most of them, going back to the city and urban areas, and it's like, we don't need that. Like, that's not what's interesting. Like, just the thrill of the hunt with this Predator and his prey, that's what's entertaining. Like, they could turn it into an anthology and just have different period settings and have predators from those time periods face off against the humans of that time period. I've seen people on Twitter talk about feudal Japan. That would be insane if you had a predator in feudal Japan going off against the samurai clans and stuff like that. That's the type of stuff they need to keep doing with this franchise if they're going to keep it going. Because I feel like this film has just reignited this franchise like crazy, especially because of how poorly received the last film was. And although, like I said, I could laugh at it and find it entertaining, it is a bad film. And the leap in quality from that 2018 film to this is astronomical in every single aspect. And if, you know, I don't know how they're going to measure the success with this one being on streaming and whether they're really going to care to make a sequel, but if they were to make another one, just pick a different time period and just do it all over again. Pick a different new time period, new set of humans and a predator, throw it in the mix and see how he does against them. Is a very, very simple concept, but I think that's just entertaining and I think that's what people appreciate. I thought the central performance in this film was really impressive. It was quite understated, like it wasn't an in-your-face performance. I don't know the actress's name, I should have looked it up beforehand. But she was really good, like she was very understated with the performance. It wasn't over the top in any way. It felt quite grounded and realistic for the time setting it was trying to portray. And like I said, going back to the story, it's all very simple. And her motivations are very simple, but they're laid out nice and clearly from the very beginning, so you know where the film's gonna head and you know what her motivations are and the direction it's gonna go. So in that sense, it's probably a bit predictable, but it doesn't really matter because they keep it so simple that it's just there to get you from point A to point B, and it does that in such a brilliant way. And one thing that this film also does very well is maintain its pace. It's only 90 minutes long, and I've been calling for a lot of films these days to shorten their runtime. We don't always need a 2.5 hour extravaganza. we don't always need a 2-hour film. 90 minutes is the sweet spot for a lot of films if they can, you know, nail the pacing in the script and get what they need to do and get it done efficiently. And this film does it really well. Like, even the second time I started watching this film earlier, from the halfway point onwards, that whole halfway point the second time flew by even quicker than it did the first time. It's really, and it's very action heavy as well, actually. Once the action really gets going around that halfway point of the film, it doesn't really stop until the end. And I think that's a credit to how they set up the story in the first act. They get all of that out of the way in the first act so that they can really just focus on the action and what people really want to see in that second half. And yeah, I was just really caught by surprise by this film, and I think a lot of people will be. And for the quality of the film overall, I personally cannot see any Predator fan being disappointed with this film. I just don't know what you'd be disappointed about, to be honest. Like, the only thing someone could criticize, I guess, is the character development and the story. But I think the rest of it is so strong that even if you were a bit, you know, let down by that aspect of it, you're not going to care as much, because what the film gave you in return with the action, the gore, the Predator itself, those battles, is so strong. I think it's going to make up for it. And the final confrontation was excellent as well, and it was shot excellently. The way the fights were choreographed and all of that is all excellent. Really impressed with the film overall. Like, it's definitely up. I haven't seen that many films this year, to be honest, but out of the films I have seen, it's definitely up there. Top 5, maybe even top 3 of the year for me so far. And I feel like because of how brisk that pace is, it's the type of film that I could go back to quite frequently and watch and enjoy and take it all in, because it's only 90 minutes long. So yeah, what a pleasant surprise. That's definitely one of the surprises of this year, and I think many will agree with me. But if you've seen the film, what's your thoughts on it? Did it impress you as much as it impressed me? And what's your favorite Predator film? Because I haven't seen the first Predator film for a very, very long time, but I'm pretty certain that this could actually be the best one. I'm gonna have to watch the original again just to make sure, but this has definitely got a shot at becoming the best Predator film in my opinion. But I was really happy with it overall. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on it. Tell me your thoughts on the franchise as a whole. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll speak to you guys sometime soon. In fact, I'll speak to you guys next week, because Nope is coming out and I'm seeing that in IMAX, and I've been waiting for that because it's been delayed 3 weeks in the UK compared to America. So yeah, my next video is going to be about Nope, so see you guys then.